Hey guys, it's Rebecca Oberstadt. In today's video, I'm going to be doing a palette inventory and declutter. You are zoomed out a little bit further than I would normally do when I'm doing like counter shots because I have too many. I am going to be doing a declutter in this as well. If you guys are interested in any of the palettes I am decluttering, please leave a comment down below. And a lot of these I do have the original packaging for, like the little plastic thing that goes in them. If they have like a box that comes with them, I do have that as well. I will sanitize them and I'm more than happy to ship them out. There's 38 palettes here, and I think 12 brands, if I'm not mistaken. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. I think there's 12. Yep, 12. 12 brands total. So some of these palettes are brand new to me, and I will talk about, and none of these have been like gifted to me like as a PR. I do not get PR from anybody, but I have subscribers that have sent me a couple of these palettes. Some of these I have bought with money that I owe my dad back. I will talk about that as how I got some of these palettes. One of them I got as a Secret Santa gift. Some of these are palettes I got in either a BoxyCharm or, actually I think that's it. I've got 2 palettes that came from BoxyCharm. So I'm going to go ahead and get into it. The majority of my palettes are BH Cosmetics, so we're going to leave them for last. First one is this Alter Ego palette. A subscriber sent this to me. It's absolutely beautiful. This is supposed to be a dupe for the Natasha Denona. I think it's a Sunrise palette or Sunset. I'm not quite sure. I don't own any Natasha Denona, but it is a beautiful palette and I've been using it quite a bit. I used this in my video that I filmed on Friday. That was my rant, or was it Thursday? Anyways, that video just went up yesterday. So I'm keeping this one. The first palette to go is actually this one. This is my Coastal Scents Revealed 2. I bought this through Ipsy, got a discount through Ipsy. It's a nice palette, but even though I enjoy the undertones of these being a little bit more cool, I do have other palettes that have similar shades in them. And this is a very, very, very beginner friendly palette, but I just do not need it. So this one is going. So I guess I will set this on the edge of my sink since I have no counter space. Then we have the Honey palette from ColourPop. I bought this when I first saw it released because I wanted a yellow palette. I do not like the pressed glitter in here, and it dropped at one point. I had it on the ledge of my bathtub and it slid into the bathtub and all these little guys popped out. So the Dandy shade is actually damaged from that. Usually my palettes don't get damaged. I'm very particular about them and OCD about how clean my things are. So I'm keeping this one. It's the only ColourPop palette that I do own. Then we have my 2 Milani palettes I bought about a year ago. We have, well, I'll do this one first. This is one I bought first. This is Pure Passion, and it is definitely a warmer toned palette. This is a beautiful palette. I like the quality of it. And then I got this one, which is the Bold Obsessions palette. And I do have a swatch comparison video on these, and I do have swatches for all but like one of these palettes. I've swatched. No, 2. I've got this one here and this one here I haven't swatched yet. They're still on my to swatch list, and then I have swatch comparison videos that I will also do. I will leave the swatch playlist linked down below if you are interested in seeing what these look like swatched on, you know, my pasty skin. Both of these palettes I'm keeping. This one's kind of a maybe palette, but I do enjoy it. This one here, again, I enjoyed this one more than this one, but for right now, I'm keeping both of them. I'm actually filming this the same day that I did my blush inventory. So that is a keep and a keep, or a keep and a maybe. I'm gonna put a question mark next to it. I have all of them written out. I have a question mark next to another one as well. The next one that's actually going is this Tarte one. This came in a BoxyCharm. This is the Be You Naturally. They do not sell this palette on its own. Holy crap, are you like dusty? Ew. Again, I'm like super anal about how clean my palettes are. I have all the original packaging and stuff for this. It's just too neutral for me. It's a beautiful palette. It smells like vanilla. It does blend well. The shimmers are nice. It's just kind of an okay palette. It's not something that the shimmers in this are nowhere near as good as they are in the Milani palette. And, you know, it's just not my taste. So that one is another one that's going. Trying to move some things around here. Then we'll do Makeup Revelation. This one, I had another palette that I got from them for buying X amount of items or a certain dollar amount on Ulta, and I got another palette that was like an 18 pan eyeshadow palette that was very similar to this one, and I gave that one away. I kept this one. This is the Ultra Professional Eyeshadow in Flawless Mattes. There's nothing wrong with this palette. I do like this palette, but I don't reach for it, and there's no point in me keeping a palette that I do not use as much as I want to. I do like my more colorful palettes. I've used this a ton, and you can see I mainly stick right in here, and I did an entire look using like these 3 shades here. It's a nice palette. There is quite a bit of fallout with these in the pan. There's a lot of kickback. As you can see, there's dust on the palette, but I don't get a whole lot of fallout on my face from this palette. The shades blend super well. This is also a very beginner-friendly palette, and I kept this in here, and I would flip it up on the mirror so I knew what shades were what when I was doing videos with it. But it's just one of those things that I don't reach for it, and there's no point in keeping something that I'm not going to give it enough love. So I'd like to be able to pass it on to somebody else that would use this. So that's the third palette going. Next is my ABH Subculture palette. I bought this at TJ Maxx for $19.99 with money that my mom's wife gave me for swiping jewelry from my inventory. This is a beautiful palette. Up until the last look that I did, I hadn't had any issues with this blending or not working for me. So I think that day might have just been a fluke, but the shimmers are nice, and I like the mattes in here. I like the color story, even though I don't really like warm eyeshadows. These are very grungy eyeshadows, so I'm keeping this. And I'm gonna keep this open for a minute, and I'm gonna talk about the Butter London palette. This is the Natural Goddess palette. I got this also in a BoxyCharm. I only had a 3-month gift subscription to that, so I do not get that anymore. But I use this as a companion palette to this because this has 4 shimmers and 2 mattes, and this one only has 3 shimmers in it. So I use these palettes together, and if you look, their color story on these is very, very similar. Even the browns are very similar. The Tempter shade in the Natural Goddess palette is a little bit darker, and the Femme Fatale shade is a little bit lighter than Axis. So I do like using these 2 palettes together. This is a maybe on the giveaway, but for right now, I'm keeping both of those. Unless somebody, is desperate and they want it. But for the most part, I do use those together. Not that I can't use other palettes for shimmers for it, but I just like using it with it. Then we have the Deuce palette from Juvia's Place. I've only had this for about 6 months. I do enjoy this palette. It is a beautiful palette. It only has 4 shimmers in it, and the rest of it's matte, but the shimmers in this palette are outstanding. The mattes blend like a dream. I haven't had any issues with this palette whatsoever. And then I belonged to a Secret Santa group on Twitter, and my Secret Santa sent this to me for this past holiday season. This is the Magic Mini by Juvia's Place, and this is a beautiful palette. I love the shimmers in it. I'm almost wondering if this one had been in this type of format instead of just the 9 shades, if it had this extra row, if this would be even better. If it was me, I would probably add 3 more shimmers. If we're doing a whole other row, you figure there's, 7 shades? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 shades. If we could add 4 shimmers and 3 mattes to this one, oh my God. But either way, I'm keeping both of them. They're both beautiful palettes. There are like the Masquerade palette from Juvia's Place I still want, and there's, what is it, the Saharan? There's a couple of palettes that have these really beautiful greens in it. There's 2 palettes for sure that I know of that have greens in it, and right now on their website they're doing like 20 or like half off on some of their palettes. I wish I had money. I'm gonna save you over there. I'm gonna stick you over there. I'm gonna pick you guys up. Then we have the only 3 Morphe palettes that I have. The Jaclyn Hill Morphe palette I got as a, it was kind of like a gift. I had a friend that wanted to buy me something but didn't know what to get me, so I put a bunch of stuff in my cart in Ulta. They gave me a price limit, so I picked a bunch of things that I knew I would use or knew I would want and put it in there, and then gave them my login information, and don't worry, this is somebody I would trust with my life, and I made sure that it was a password that I changed and then changed again once I got the account, once I logged back in. I do enjoy this palette. I have used it a ton. I hate how dirty it is. This drives me nuts. And mine didn't come with that little color thing that has these on it, so, because I saw what Raw Beauty Christy did, and even Jen Loves Reviews, they put the card up here, and I wish I would have had that to do that, but I didn't. But this is a beautiful palette. Again, it's a lot of warm tones. I kind of wish I had more cool tone palettes, but I don't. I wish I had more cool tone palettes, but for whatever reason, I don't. But this is a beautiful palette. I am keeping it. The shimmers in here are really nice. The mattes blend well. I only have issues with these 4 shades down here. And it's just because they're dark and they're intimidating and they kind of scare me. So this one's a keep. The next one should need no explanation. This is the James Charles Morphe palette. I bought this on release. I got it like within minutes of it launching. I did tape the thing on the top and I marked on it in Sharpie whether or not things were like pressed pigments or whatever on here, so I knew. I have used the shit out of this palette, but only for like artistic looks the last 6 months, 8 months I've had it. A lot of these do not blend well for me. I have issues getting them to work with a normal brush that isn't wet. It doesn't matter like what kind of primer that I try and use. With this palette, I have issues. And I do not care for James Charles. I don't care for his attitude, his outlook on life, his channel, the things that he talks about on social media. I do not care for him as a person. The palette is just an okay palette. But yeah, I do not like this palette. And I have stated that this is my most hated palette, and it is my most hated palette in my collection. So it's going. Bye-bye, James. Hope to never see you again. The next one I bought when this first launched, I saw it online. I'm like, it's beautiful. It's so pretty. This is the Morphe 39S palette. It is beautiful. But for being a purple and pink palette, it's awfully warm toned. Again, with the warm toned colors. A lot of these, the majority of these are pressed pigments. These center shades, all except for this last one, are this weird like gel consistency. If you look, this silver shade looks mangled. There's several pinks in here that are very, very similar in shade. This shade here is the same as this one and this one on the eye. Again, I do not like pressed glitters. So this was another $40 palette that I bought that I absolutely detest. I mainly like these here. I like these shades here, this one, and the rest of the palette is just kind of okay. I do not like the formulas from Morphe, I'm finding, and I will not be buying another one, even though they just launched one that I thought was really pretty. I will not be picking it up. I don't care how beautiful it is and that it's pastel, which I don't have any pastel colors in my collection, I don't believe, but I do not want to own any more Morphe palettes, so that one's going. So there's 5 right there. Let me rearrange a few things. Next we have my Jeffree Star palettes, which I have to move to get to. God, heart attack. Okay. Blue Blood. I got on, I borrowed money from my dad to get this. And I wanted blood sugar at the same time, but it was not on the website available to be purchased when I bought this, or I would have gotten blood sugar at the same time that I got Blue Blood. It's an okay palette. I do not, I have issues with these 2 shades here. A couple of them, like this Deceased shade, the Power and the Undertaker shades, are like super hard pressed. They're hard to get pigment off of. The shimmers in here are absolutely fantastic. And the mattes, most of them blend amazingly. This Blue Monday shade, no matter what you do, it ends up turning this color on your eye when you go to take it off. It's like a hot pink shade. It's a nice palette. It's not my favorite out of his palettes, but I am going to keep it because I just paid that off. Then we have Blood Sugar. I ordered this at the same time that I ordered the Mini Controversy and the Conspiracy palette. Hands down, this is my favorite palette of his so far that I own. I'm glad that I got it. I have no complaints with it. I have never had an issue with any of the shades in here. Not once have I had issues with staining, issues with them not blending, issues with anything. I have no issues with this palette whatsoever. It is stunning. I'm trying not to topple stuff over. This one here I bought myself. I paid for 100% myself. I used Afterpay to get it. I have a couple of issues with some of the shades, but it mainly is more of a, you have to work with them a little bit more than usual. This Delicious shade I have a little bit of issues with, and like a couple of the shimmers I have issues with. The Cute shade and the Gumdrop shade and the Sour shade do not show up very well on my skin, and I find that if you want them to look this color on your eye, you have to use a wet brush, which leaves little marks like this in the palette. This is a beautiful palette, and it's the only palette I think that I own that has any of these like more pastel kind of shades in it. I do not own the Mini Jawbreaker. I know that there's like a couple of duplicate shades in there, but I wouldn't mind owning that one. But as of right now, I'm okay with this one. So I'm keeping that one. The Mini Controversy, there's 4 shades that are my favorite in here. I have issues with the rest. So, the simulation shade, I have issues with it not working very well as a shimmer. My apologies, my favorite. The canceled and controversy shades look very patchy unless you use a very specific base on them, and then exposed and flat earth and cry on my couch just are, they're too light for them to even show up on my skin color. And I'm paper, people. But yeah, I've enjoyed using like this section of the palette for the most part. So I'm keeping that. That, and it's a collab with Shane Dawson, so I mean, I wouldn't get rid of it anyways. Then we have the Conspiracy palette, and mine is a little bit marred up. It came with some defects on the packaging. Like this one here, it looks like it got dropped or something. It's marred up on the edge, but it came that way. Oh, you got tinsel in you. I didn't even realize there was a mirror protector on here. Oh well, I guess I'll keep it on. I really like this palette. I'm shocked. I have issues with the payoff on Food Vibes and Trisha. And the What's Up Tea barely shows up on my skin, but it's also a very light color. But other than that, this palette is amazing. I'm not mad that the Diet Root Beer shade is also in here. I would have probably liked to have seen it switched out for something different. But for the most part, this is a beautiful palette. It blends well. The mattes blend well. You can pick any color combination with this. The shimmers are outstanding. The Illuminati shade is my favorite in this palette. And believe it or not, I actually really like Sleep Paralysis. And it doesn't even look like I've used it, but trust me, I have. When I went to swatch this palette, I think I swatched this palette for a video. I'll have to look. Crap. Anyways, I think I swatched this one. Anyways, swatching these palettes breaks my heart because I do not want to mess up the emblems on them. And I usually stick to like the top corner. When I'm using them, you can see there's like marks in the top corners of most of these shades because that's where I stick my brush in. So I'm just weird. But yes, I'm keeping this one. Then we get into the Big Mamba Jamba. This is the majority of my collection, which is BH Cosmetics. This one is brand new. This was sent to me by a subscriber. This is the BH Illusion palette. It's so tiny. These are smaller than a dime. They are so freaking adorable. This shade and this shade act like topper shades. It's like a very, I have a highlighter this color. But as you can see, there's not a whole lot of pigment behind it. The other one below it is the same, but the other shimmers in here are fantastic. I don't have any issues with the mattes blending. I've used every shade in this palette, and this is also on my to swatch list. I haven't swatched this one yet, but I've done 6 looks with this palette so far. I just haven't edited the 4 looks 1 palette yet, but I'm keeping that. This one is also a new one. This is on my to swatch list. I bought this at Ulta using a gift card that I got for helping out with Jen Loves Reviews channel. I do her spreadsheets and stuff for her What's Up and Makeup, and as a thank you for the hard work that we do on her channel, she gives out like gift cards and stuff occasionally. And so I was able to buy this and some other things like this and both of these while I was shopping with my gift card, and I still had a little bit of money left over on it. I had like 50 something cents left on that gift card, so I'm very grateful to Jen for the gift card so I could buy this. I haven't used it a whole lot. I've used it once so far, but it is a beautiful palette. And now that I'm looking at it, there are a couple pastel kind of shades in here. The Blue Chalcedony shade I've used, the Amethyst shade, Citrine, Tiger's Eye, and Amber. I've used those. I've also used Rose Quartz and Hematite. But yeah, this is a beautiful palette. The highlighter in the center is different than the other two big palettes. So this is definitely a keep. I'm not getting rid of any of my BH palettes at all. The Love Signs palette is a very warm palette. I mainly like stick in this area here and then these shimmers. So like this entire area, and these are like my favorite part of this palette. I like using the Sagittarius shade with the green out of this one. It's a beautiful palette. I've used the shit out of it, and I'm definitely not getting rid of it ever. I'll probably hit pan on that one. This one I haven't used as much. I mainly stick in like these colors here for the matte shades. The shimmers, of course, I've used. There's quite a bit of dip in most of the shimmer shades in here. I love using this Sagittarius shade with the purple out of that palette. And I'm glad that the center highlight shade is different in all 3 palettes. So they're not the same. And there might be similar shades in each palette, but there's nothing the same. I do have a swatch comparison video between this and the Love Signs palette. It is my most viewed video on my channel. Yeah, it has like 16,000 views on it. It is the most viewed video ever on my channel. And I love this palette, so I'm keeping that. Then we're going to do the mini guys. We have Virgo, which is new to me. I've done like 8 looks with this palette so far. I enjoy it. Let me see if I can get some of these to stick up. Here's Capricorn. This was the first like real neutral palette that I had ever bought. This one here is my second most hated palette, but this was a gift from Sylvia, who is a subscriber that lives in Portugal. She bought this and had this sent to me. I was very disappointed. Like with the Illusion palette, the shimmers in here are all topper shades. Every freaking one of them are topper shades. That's why it is my most hated palette. And this one here, the shade was so soft when I went to use it the first time, and then I went to swatch it. It like, there's a divot in it now, and I'm very mad. The black has silver glitter in it. It's actually a really good black. I have a swatch video that hasn't posted yet of swatching all of my black shadows. It's actually a really good shadow. And the center shade is almost identical to this one here. They're mainly just all like topper-ish kind of shades. And I don't know, it's nothing like any of the other mini palettes. This is not like any of the other ones. Hands down, it is a completely different beast, and I don't know what they did to this one, but it was a gift. It was a birthday gift last year from Sylvia, and I will be keeping it. I do use it. I just grumble and complain when I do use it. The mattes are amazing. The three matte shades that are in here are amazing, so don't get me confused on that one. Then we have Aquarius. This one is absolutely stunning. This shade here is so beautiful. It is my favorite shade in the palette, and then that one would be my next favorite. I also really enjoy the cornflower blue. Then we have, what are we, Pisces. Pisces is beautiful. It's one of my favorites out of the mini collections. Then we have Aries. I was surprised I liked this one. Again, it's a very warm palette. I was very surprised I liked it. I didn't think I would, but I did. I'm shocked I liked it. Yeah. Then we have Taurus. Again, a color story that I wouldn't gravitate to because I hate these kinds of like colors. This green, this bricky red color, I don't like. This lime green are not my colors. But these shimmers are outstanding. Absolutely outstanding. I love them. So, yeah. Then we have Gemini. Again, another color story that isn't quite my favorite, that I do not like because it has this ugly shade in it right here. But the rest of it, I love. I like berry and cranberry shades. And again, it's another warm tone palette. And then here we have the last one that I bought, which is Sagittarius, and it's beautiful. This is like a miniature version of the 39S palette. And before I get rid of 39S, I'm going to be doing comparison swatches between this one and the Such a Gem palette from Morphe, because there's so many shades in here that are similar to that palette. That's why I feel okay getting rid of a $40 palette and keeping one that cost me $4.80. The mattes blend 1,000 times easier and quicker with no patchiness than the Morphe palette. The shimmers you can use wet or dry. They go on impactful with a brush or with a finger. I don't have any problems working with any of these. And this purple, oh my God. I did one swipe across it. Look at this. It is so, so pretty. I love that palette. I think that is my next favorite out of this collection, besides this one. That one will always have my heart. And this shade right here in this little guy is actually the same shade as Glass Bowl from ColourPop. And this is from the Pisces palette. And I did a look comparison between this, and I went ahead and bought Glass Bowl to show this one is the exact same shade as that. So there's all the mini. I am missing Leo, Libra, and Scorpio. Right now, Libra and Scorpio are on their website. I just do not have the money to buy it right now. And I actually had somebody that lives in Germany ask me which ones I was missing because she was going to send them to me, which I thought was awesome. I haven't heard anything back from her, but you know, if anybody ever wants to buy me anything, just feel free to ask for my address on Instagram or Twitter, and I'll send it to you. Just don't show up at my damn house like some weirdo. This one here, I haven't touched since I did the unboxing. This was a Christmas gift from a subscriber, and it arrived broken. Other than repressing 2 of the shades, I have not used this palette. I haven't touched this palette. I haven't done anything with this palette. Plus, I had so many other palettes to get through that I hadn't really worked with it. I love the colors in here. This candy shade is super calling to me. I want to stick my finger in it, rub it all over my eye. Along with the electronic shade, I'd probably do a look with both of those. And I just did a pink and green look the other day. So I have problems, people. I have problems. So yeah, I haven't gotten into this one yet. That one also is on my to be swatched list. I guess I'll stick you down here so make things level. Then we have the BH Cosmetics Fairy Lights palette. I bought this not that long ago from, did I get it on BH? Did I get it on Ulta? I can't remember which one I bought it on. I've done 12 looks with this palette so far, and I do believe if the video isn't already up, I know I did a swatch video. I have so many swatch videos recorded right now, it's not even funny. So literally the entire rest of January and all of February on Thursdays, you will have a swatch video for something going up. And those are just the ones that are scheduled. I have like 4 more swatch videos that are already uploaded that I haven't even scheduled yet. So we're looking at about April before I get done with swatches. So yeah, this is a beautiful palette. The mattes are amazing. The shimmers are amazing in it. I love these like bubblegummy pink shades in here. These blues are amazing. This is actually purple, not gray. The shimmers up here are super like delicate, but you can also wear them as highlighters. It's really, I mean, these swatches that I'm doing here are not doing this palette justice. It's such a beautiful palette, and I'm glad I picked it up. Then we have Take Me Back to Brazil. I still want the Rio edition of this, and I want the Ibiza edition. This is another reason why I feel comfortable getting rid of my $40 James Charles palette. This retails for $20. I picked it up for $16. This is a mini James Charles palette, and I will show you. I do not have issues with those blending. I don't have issues with the mattes. I don't have issues with the shimmers. And as you can see, the color story is very, very similar. I don't cuss when I use this palette. I cuss when I use this one. So James, you're going. You're a turd. You're a shit. You don't blend. Bye-bye. This one I'm keeping, of course. And it, you know, because it is such a versatile rainbow palette that I feel okay getting rid of that one. And for the price of this one, I could have gotten this one and the Rio one at the same time because they were having a bundle deal when I bought this, and I could have gotten both of them for like 26 bucks. So I'm kind of mad that I could have gotten 2 palettes for the price of one. Well, 2.5 palettes, I guess. This one I bought at TJ Maxx. This is the Marvin the Magnificent collab palette called Marvicorn. This is actually a very neutral palette. If I get rid of these colors here, it's a very, very neutral palette. I mean, look. Very neutral. But it is a very nice, like, neutral palette. It doesn't pull too warm. It doesn't pull too cool. The Honey Boo Boo shade is the only, like, warm colored one here. And it's like a peachy gold shimmering shifting color, and I feel okay keeping this with that, and I only paid $5 for it. So I got that at TJ Maxx when I picked up the BH palette, so I'm keeping that. Then the last 2 BH palettes I have, I do not own any of the other like solar or lunar or space related palettes. Some of them, like Solar Flare, I think it was, all the colors looked basically the same. They're just darker or lighter variations of the same color, so that's one reason why I didn't buy that. Shelly from Geek Out of Water is to blame for both of these purchases and the Zodiac purchase. I blame her for this. I blame her for the BH collection, period, for most of them. I blame Sylvia for the Zodiacs, the mini Zodiacs. Sylvia, that's your fault. Anyways, Shelly had this palette. I was drooling over it. She would do a bunch of looks with the regular Zodiac palette. I drool over that. And then I saw this one come out and I was like, ooh, all the pinks, oh my God. When I was a kid, my room was pink. My bed was pink. The walls were pink. The kickboards were pink. My clothing was pink. My bedding was pink. Everything in my life at the time, until I was like 8, was pink. And they called me Becky. Unless you want to get bitch slapped, don't call me Becky. But everything was pink. So I have an affinity for pink. I have an even stronger affinity for like these fuchsia pink shades. Look at this. You can't tell me that those are not stunning. And look at this prismatic shade up here. It's the most beautiful lilac color ever. And a lot of these are their baked formulas. They're very, very shimmery. Some of these are very glittery shades. I've used the shit out of both of these palettes. I've used them in a lot of my holiday looks. I do a lot of artistic things with these. I don't know. This palette here is the reason why I'm debating on the Butter London palette, because the shimmers in here are very similar to the shimmers in the Butter London palette. So if you guys think, and I'll leave it up to you guys, do you think I should get rid of my 2 Maybe palettes? And my Maybe palettes are my Milani Bold Obsessions palette and the Butter London palette. If you think I should get rid of both of those as well, then let me know in the comments down below, and I'll also get rid of them, because I do have, you know, these palettes that have very similar shades to those 2 palettes as well. And if you want like a swatch comparison between either of these and those palettes to see what the shimmers and stuff look like in comparison, then let me know. I'll do that. That way I will also have a visual understanding of how similar these shades are, or if I have other shades in my collection that are similar to those palettes, then I don't need them. I also looked at picking up the Soft and Sultry, but looking at what I've got here, I've got this palette and I've got the Capricorn palette, so I really don't need the Soft and Sultry from Milani, even though I wanted it for the longest time. I don't want it anymore because I have 2 palettes that I can use to get similar looks. Even the Fairy Lights and the Conspiracy palette have colors that are very similar to it. So that is everything. These are all of my eyeshadow palettes. There are 38 here total, and I'm getting rid of 5 with an if on 2 more. So there's a potential for 7, which would leave me with 31 eyeshadow palettes. I have an issue, but my issue is very colorful. So let me know what you guys think. This will be the next one that I really focus on. These 2 and then the Crystal Zodiac palette are the ones that I need to start working on doing looks and stuff with. I was very shocked that this arrived with broken shadows in it and it ruined the palette. I can't get this off no matter what I try. It's stained. So I'm very sad about that. But let me know what you guys think in the comments below. If you want me to let me know what you think about the Milani palette and the Butter London palette, if you think I ought to get rid of those as well. I have no problem passing those on as well. So that is it for my palette declutter and inventory for January of 2020. Yeah, I don't have anything in mind right now for like what I'm dying to buy. I know there's a couple that I have my eye on, but for the most part, I'm like not chomping at the bit to buy anything. The Zodiac series, if I could buy Libra and Scorpio on sale, I will do it when I have money. I still want Leo. I want to complete this collection. I still want a Brazil, the Take Me Back to Brazil Rio edition and the Ibiza edition of this one. And it's not just to complete all 3 of them. It's because this one here has certain mattes and certain shimmers, okay? And in the Rio edition, the matte shades in this one are shimmers in the other one, and vice versa for the shimmers to mattes to this one. That's why I want it. And then the Ibiza one is a more grungy, darker color story than either this one or the Rio edition. So that's why I want them. So yeah, let me know what you guys think down below, and don't forget to toss a like on this video. I've been recording for like 40 minutes already. So yeah, I will see you guys in tomorrow's video. Have a fantastic day or night wherever you are, and I'll see you then. Bye.